June 5th, 1944, 11:47 p.m. I'm standing in the belly of a C-47 transport plane, and I can't feel my legs anymore. Not from fear, though God knows there's plenty of that, but because I've been standing in full combat gear for the past 3 hours, waiting for the green light that will send me jumping into the darkness over Nazi-occupied France. My name is Private James Mitchell. I'm 22 years old, from a small town in Ohio that you've never heard of. And in approximately 13 minutes, I'm going to parachute behind enemy lines as part of the 101st Airborne Division. In 24 hours, everything I thought I knew about war, about courage, about myself, will be shattered. This is my story. This is D-Day. And I need you to understand something right from the start. Nothing, and I mean nothing, could have prepared me for what was about to happen. Let me take you back a few hours. Back when I could still pretend I wasn't terrified. We'd been in marshalling areas across southern England for days. Sealed camps, they called them. Once you went in, you didn't come out. That's when you knew it was real. That's when the joke stopped. You know what's funny? In the movies, soldiers are always so brave, so ready. They give these inspiring speeches. They look determined. Want to know what we actually did? We threw up. We wrote letters we knew might never get sent. We checked our equipment for the 100th time, not because we needed to, but because our hands needed something to do. Anything to keep them from shaking. I remember sitting on my bunk in the Quonset hut at a pottery airfield, staring at a photograph of a girl named Sarah. We dated for exactly 3 months before I enlisted. 3 months. And here I was, carrying her picture like it was some kind of talisman that would keep me alive. The chaplain came through around 1800 hours. He didn't preach. He just talked. Asked us about home, about what we missed. One guy, I can't even remember his name now, he talked about his mother's apple pie for 15 minutes straight. Described every ingredient, every step of making it. We all just listened. Nobody told him to shut up. Because we knew. We all knew that some of us were describing things we'd never taste again. The briefing came at 2000 hours. That's when they finally told us everything. The maps came out, the aerial photographs, the intelligence reports. Our mission was clear. Drop into Normandy behind Utah Beach. Secure the causeways. Take out the German artillery. Prevent reinforcements from reaching the beaches where our boys would be landing at dawn. Simple, right? Except the intelligence officer kept using words like expected resistance and probable casualties and if you survive the drop. If. Such a small word, such enormous weight. Now here we are, in the plane, and every single thing is wrong. First of all, nobody tells you how loud it is. The engines, twin Pratt and Whitney R1830S, if you care about that sort of thing, they're screaming. You can't hear yourself think. You have to yell directly into someone's ear just to be heard. Second, the smell. Hydraulic fluid. Aviation fuel. Sweat. Fear has a smell, you know. It's acrid, sharp. It gets into your nose and stays there. And the weight. Jesus, the weight. I'm carrying over 100 pounds of equipment, parachute, reserve chute, rifle, ammunition, grenades, rations, entrenching tool, gas mask, first aid kit, and that's not even everything. I'm watching the other guys in my stick. That's what they call your group of paratroopers. And I can see it in their faces. The same thing I'm feeling. This is really happening. Sergeant Williams is near the door. He's 36 years old, which makes him ancient by our standards. 3 kids back home. He's been cracking jokes all night, but I can see his jaw clenching. See the way he keeps running his thumb over his wedding ring. Across from me is Tommy Reeves, 19 years old. Lied about his age to enlist. He told me once that he joined up because he wanted to prove he was a man. Kid doesn't even shave yet. He's praying. I can see his lips moving. Can't hear the words, but I know what he's doing. We all are, in our own way. Even the guys who claimed they didn't believe in God back in training. Turns out there aren't many atheists in a C-47 heading into combat. The jump master, Lieutenant Harrison, he's checking everyone's equipment one final time. He stops at each man, tugs on the static lines, checks the harnesses. His face is like stone, completely unreadable. I wonder if he's scared too. I wonder if officers feel fear the same way we do. The plane lurches. Anti-aircraft fire. We can hear it now, even over the engines. Those distant thump, thump, thump sounds that mean the Germans know we're coming. Tracers light up the night outside the small windows. Red and orange streaks cutting through the darkness. They look almost beautiful. They're trying to kill us. And here's something nobody tells you about flying into combat. Time becomes elastic. Seconds stretch into hours. Hours compress into seconds. I couldn't tell you if we'd been flying for 20 minutes or 2 hours. The plane banks hard. Someone behind me loses it, starts vomiting into his helmet bag. The smell adds to everything else. Nobody makes fun of him. It could be any of us next. Red light. The red light comes on near the door and my heart stops. Just stops completely for a moment. This is it. We all stand up. The jump master shouts, "Stand up and hook up!" Our voices thunder back, "Stand up and hook up!" We're moving now, snapping our static lines onto the anchor cable running down the center of the plane. These lines will pull our chutes open when we jump. At least, that's the theory. Check static lines. Check static lines. I look at mine. It looks fine. It looked fine the last 50 times I checked it too, but I check it again anyway. Check equipment. Check equipment. Pat down my gear. It's all there. Where else would it be? We've been sitting here for hours. But the routine is important. The routine keeps you from thinking too much. Sound off for equipment check. From the back of the plane, the last man shouts, 16 okay. It goes down the line, each man calling out his number. 15 okay. 14 okay. Getting closer. 3 okay. 2 okay. My turn. 1 okay. And I shuffle towards Sergeant Williams at the door and shout, all okay. All okay. What a lie. Nothing is okay. Everything is completely and utterly wrong. The plane is getting hammered now. Flak is exploding all around us. I can hear shrapnel pinging off the fuselage. The pilot is taking evasive action, or at least trying to, and we're being thrown around like rag dolls. This isn't how it's supposed to go. We're supposed to have a smooth approach. We're supposed to drop from 500 feet. We're supposed to have time to get oriented. But the anti-aircraft fire is so heavy that the planes are all over the place. Some are going too fast. Some are too low. Some are too high. The nice, neat formation we practiced 100 times back in England? Gone. I can see the door now. See the darkness beyond it. There's a wind howling through and I can feel the temperature drop. It's freezing up there. Sergeant Williams is in position. He's looking back at us, and for just a second, one brief, eternal second, his mask slips. I can see the fear in his eyes. Then it's gone, replaced by something harder, something that looks almost like acceptance. The green light flashes on, and Lieutenant Harrison screams, "Go, go, go!" And Sergeant Williams is gone. Just gone. Disappeared into the night. The line moves. Tommy Reeves is in front of me. He hesitates for just a fraction of a second at the door. Someone behind him shouts, "Move!" And he's out. Now it's my turn. I'm at the door. I can see tracers. I can see explosions. I can see France below me, and it's on fire. The whole coastline is burning. There's no time to think, no time to be afraid, no time to reconsider. My training takes over. I step into the door, hands on the reserve chute like they taught us, chin tucked, and I'm falling. The prop blast from the engines hits me like a physical wall, spinning me around. The noise is incredible. Wind screaming. Engines roaring, anti-aircraft fire, machine guns. My static line pulls tight. Please open, please open, please open. Wham! The parachute deploys, and suddenly I'm jerked upwards so hard I think my spine might snap. But I'm not falling anymore. I'm floating. For exactly 2 seconds, it's peaceful. Then all hell breaks loose. Tracers are coming up at me. The Germans have seen the parachutes, hundreds of them, maybe thousands, all drifting down like slow-moving targets in a shooting gallery. A guy off to my left just disappears. His chute collapses. He's there 1 second, gone the next. Falling, screaming. I can't help him, can't help anyone. All I can do is manipulate my risers, try to avoid the worst of the ground fire, and pray. The ground is coming up fast, too fast. I look down, trying to see where I'm going to land, but it's too dark. There are shapes, shadows, could be fields, could be trees, could be buildings. I'm coming in hot, way too hot. The plane must have been going faster than it should have been. I see water. Oh God, I see water below me. The British told us about the fields behind the beaches, told us the Germans had flooded them, told us to avoid them if we could. I can't avoid anything. I'm a leaf in a hurricane, completely at the mercy of wind and gravity and fate. I hit the water. Cold, that's the first thing. The water is so cold it drives the air from my lungs. The second thing, I'm sinking. 100 pounds of equipment, remember? Plus a waterlogged parachute that's pulling me down like an anchor. I claw at my harness. The quick-release mechanism, where is it? Where is it? My fingers are numb. I can't feel anything, can't see anything. The water is black, the sky is black, everything is black. I'm going to drown. I'm going to drown in 4 feet of water in a French field and never even see a German soldier. This is how it ends. This is how I die. No. Something inside me, some primal survival instinct takes over. I stop panicking, stop thrashing, and I find the release. Click. The harness comes free and I'm kicking, kicking, kicking toward what I hope is up. My head breaks the surface and I gasp, sucking in air like I've never tasted oxygen before. I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm standing in water up to my chest, and I'm alive. I take stock. Still have my rifle. Still have most of my equipment. Lost my helmet somewhere in the water. That's bad, but not fatal. I slosh toward what looks like solid ground. Every step is an effort. My boots are full of water. My uniform is soaked. I'm shivering so hard my teeth are chattering. When I finally drag myself onto dry land, I collapse. Just lie there for a moment, breathing. Then I hear it. Click-clack, click-clack. That's our signal, the cricket clickers they gave us. You squeeze it twice, click-clack, and if there's another American nearby, they respond with 1 click. I fumble for mine. It's in my pocket. I pull it out and squeeze. Click-clack. A pause that lasts forever. Then, from somewhere in the darkness, click. I'm not alone. I low crawl toward the sound, my rifle ready, my heart pounding. Could be genuine, could be a German who found a cricket off a dead paratrooper, but I have to risk it. I can't survive this alone. A shape materializes from the shadows. American uniform, 101st Airborne patches. It's Tommy Reeves, the kid who was in front of me on the plane. We don't speak, just grab each other in a brief, fierce hug. Then we're moving, trying to find more of our unit. Over the next hour, we collect 4 more guys. None of them from our plane. We're scattered to hell and back. Some guys landed miles from their drop zones. Some landed in German positions. Some landed in trees and were shot before they could cut themselves down. Some landed in the flooded fields and drowned. We don't talk about that. By 0200 hours, we have 8 men. 8 men out of the 18 who jumped from our plane. We have no idea where we are. The clouds that made the jump so dangerous also make navigation impossible. We can't see the stars, can't see any landmarks. We're operating on instinct and desperation, but we have a mission. We need to find our unit, need to secure those causeways, need to help the guys who'll be landing on the beaches in just a few hours. We move through the bocage, the French hedgerows, and let me tell you, nobody prepared us for the bocage. These aren't like the neat little hedges you see in English gardens. These are ancient, dense walls of earth and vegetation, sometimes 10 feet thick and 15 feet high. Every field is a fortress. Every hedgerow could hide a German machine gun nest. We are moving slowly, carefully, when we hear it. German voices. Everyone freezes. We're on one side of a hedgerow, they're on the other, maybe 20 feet away. Corporal Davis, he's the senior man in our little group. He signals for us to get down. We do. We press ourselves into the cold French earth and we wait. The Germans are talking, laughing even. They have no idea we're here. Davis crawls over to me, whispers directly into my ear. See if you can get a look. Don't engage. Right, don't engage. Just pop my head up and potentially get it blown off for reconnaissance purposes. But I do it, because that's what soldiers do. They follow orders, even stupid ones. I inch my way up the hedgerow until I can peek through a gap in the vegetation. 3 Germans, maybe 4. They're in a foxhole on the other side of the next field. One of them is smoking. The orange glow of his cigarette is the only light. They have a machine gun. MG-42, the same weapon that will kill thousands of Americans on the beaches in just a few hours. I slide back down and report to Davis. He thinks for a moment. Then we take them out, quiet. Easier said than done. But we have surprise on our side, and surprise is the only advantage we have. We split into 2 groups. 3 men go left around the hedgerow, 3 go right. Tommy and Davis stay with me in the center. We wait for the flanking groups to get into position. 5 minutes that feel like 5 hours. Then Davis gives the signal. We move. It's not like the movies. It's messy and desperate and terrifying. The Germans hear us coming. They're not deaf. But by then it's too late for them. There's shooting, there's shouting, there's the wet, horrible sound of combat knives doing what combat knives do. And then it's over. We've won. 4 dead Germans. 0 American casualties. But I've killed a man, and maybe 2. I can't even tell in the chaos. I pulled my trigger, I stabbed with my knife, I did what I was trained to do. And I feel nothing. Maybe the shock hasn't worn off yet. Maybe the reality hasn't hit me. Or maybe war changes you faster than you think it will. We take their weapons, their ammunition. One of them has a map. Davis studies it by the light of a shielded flashlight. I know where we are, he says. We're about 2 miles from our rally point. 2 miles? It might as well be 200. But at least we have a direction now. At least we have a goal. We move out, leaving the dead Germans behind. I don't look back. We reach the rally point around 0330 hours. It's not much. Just a crossroads with a broken stone wall, but there are Americans there. Maybe 30 or 40 guys from different units, different planes. And there's an officer, Captain Winters from Easy Company, 506 PIR. He's calm, organized. Takes one look at our ragtag group and immediately incorporates us into his unit. You men, you're with me now, he says. We've got work to do. He briefs us quickly. The beach landings are scheduled for 0630 hours. We have 3 hours to secure the inland roads and neutralize the German coastal batteries that could rain hell on our boys coming ashore. 3 hours to potentially save thousands of lives. No pressure, right? Winters divides us into squads. Tommy and I stay together. We're assigned to a demolition team tasked with taking out a German artillery position that intelligence says is positioned to fire directly onto Utah Beach. We move through the darkness. There are more of us now, maybe 100 men total, and we're starting to feel like an actual military unit instead of a scattered mob of lost paratroopers. The sky is starting to lighten. Just barely. Just enough that you can see shapes instead of pure darkness. That's good and bad. Good because we can move faster. Bad because the Germans can see us too. We're approaching the artillery position when the first mortar round lands. The explosion is incredible. Deafening. A fountain of earth and fire erupts 50 yards to our left. Everyone hits the ground. Another round. Closer this time. The Germans know we're here. They're bracketing us. The next round will land right on top of us. Move! 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 Captain Winters is screaming. Don't bunch up! Spread out and move! We run. We sprint across open ground while mortar rounds fall around us like angry fists from God. I see a man get hit. See him simply cease to exist in a flash of fire and smoke. One moment he's running next to me. The next moment there's a crater and pieces. Keep running. Don't think about it. Keep running. We reach a hedgerow and throw ourselves behind it. My ears are ringing. My lungs are burning. But I'm alive. I'm still alive. Tommy is next to me. He's white as a sheet, eyes wide. He's in shock. I grab him by the shoulders. Tommy, look at me. You're okay. We're okay. He focuses on me. Nods. Some color returns to his face. The mortar fire has stopped. The Germans are repositioning, or maybe they think they got us all. Winters is already planning our next move. This is a man who doesn't quit, doesn't freeze. He's what we need. The artillery position is just over that next rise, he says, pointing. We have two options, frontal assault or flanking maneuver. Frontal gets us there faster but costs more lives. Flanking is safer but takes time we don't have. He pauses, looks at each of us. I'm going with the flanking maneuver. We do this smart. We do this right. We don't waste lives unnecessarily. I could kiss him. Not that I would, but I could. We move in a wide arc, using the terrain to mask our approach. It takes 40 minutes. 40 minutes during which the sky continues to lighten and my awareness that the beach landings are getting closer intensifies with every passing second. Those men on the boats. Those men who'll be hitting the beaches. They're depending on us. We can't fail. We reach a position overlooking the German artillery battery. And it's bigger than intelligence said. 4 guns instead of 2. Maybe 50 Germans. They're dug in. They're ready. And they have no idea we're here. Winters sets up a base of fire. Half our men will lay down suppressing fire while the other half assaults the position. I'm in the assault group. Of course I am. We fix bayonets. It's an old-fashioned gesture that feels absurdly appropriate. We're about to charge enemy positions like soldiers have done for thousands of years. Winters looks at his watch, looks at us. When I give the signal, he says quietly, "Give 'em hell." We wait. Every second is agony. My finger is on my trigger. My muscles are coiled springs. Then, now, the base of fire element opens up. Machine guns, rifles, grenades. The Germans are caught completely by surprise. We charge. I'm running, screaming, firing. My rifle bucks against my shoulder. I see Germans falling. I see them running. I see them returning fire. A bullet snaps past my ear, so close I can hear it crack the air. Keep moving, never stop moving. We're in their position now. It's hand to hand. It's brutal. It's everything war is and nothing like the glory they told us about back home. I'm fighting for my life. Using my rifle as a club, using my knife, using my bare hands. A German comes at me with a bayonet. I parry, sidestep, drive my knife into his ribs. His eyes go wide. He looks surprised, like he can't believe this is happening to him. He falls. I'm already moving to the next threat, and then, suddenly, it's over. The Germans who are still alive are running, fleeing into the dawn. We let them go. We have the artillery position. That's all that matters. But the cost. We've lost men. I don't know how many. I'm afraid to count. Tommy is alive. Thank God Tommy is alive. He's sitting on the ground, shaking, but he's alive. The demolition team moves in. They rig the guns with explosives. We're not just capturing this position, we're destroying it. The charges are set. We fall back to a safe distance. And then the explosions. 4 massive detonations that shake the ground and light up the dawn sky. The guns are gone. Twisted metal and shattered stone. They won't be firing on our beaches. Captain Winters allows himself a small smile. Good work, men. Good work. I check my watch. 6:15 hours. In 15 minutes, thousands of American soldiers will hit the beaches. They'll face their own hell, their own terror. Many of them won't survive, but they won't have these particular artillery pieces firing at them. We did that. We saved lives. We made a difference. We can hear it before we can see it. The sound starts as a distant rumble. Like thunder, but it doesn't fade. It grows. Louder and louder until it's a continuous roar that seems to come from everywhere and nowhere all at once. The naval bombardment has begun. We move to higher ground, trying to get a view of the beaches, and when we finally see it, I don't have words. I don't think anyone has words. The English Channel is covered with ships, hundreds of ships, maybe thousands. From horizon to horizon, nothing but ships, landing craft, destroyers, cruisers, battleships. They're all firing. The coast is exploding. The entire German Atlantic Wall is being hammered by the biggest naval bombardment in human history. And then the landing crafts start their run. We're too far away to see the individual soldiers, but we can see the boats, see them pushing through the surf, see them heading toward the beaches, toward their destiny. Tommy is standing next to me. We did it, he says quietly. We actually did it. We did our part, I correct him. They've got to do theirs. We watch for a few more minutes. Then Captain Winters calls us back to reality. All right, men, we've got more work to do. Gather your gear. We're moving to secure the inland villages. The Germans will be counterattacking soon, and we need to be ready. Just like that, we're back to it. No time to rest, no time to process what we've been through. No time to mourn the dead or celebrate the living. This is war. It doesn't stop because you're tired or scared or overwhelmed. It just keeps going. By 0800 hours, we've moved into a small French village called Sainte-Mère-Église. The 505 PIR has already captured it, the first town liberated in France. But the Germans want it back. We set up defensive positions in buildings around the central square. My squad is assigned to a 2-story stone house on the eastern edge of town. From the second-floor window, I have a clear view of the approach road. Tommy is with me. So is a machine gunner named Martinez from the 82nd Airborne. We wait. The civilians are still here, the French people. They're hiding in their basements, caught between the Americans who've just arrived and the Germans who are about to try to take their town back. I can hear them below us, hear their whispered prayers, hear the crying of children who don't understand why their world has become a battlefield. This is what war really is. It's not just soldiers fighting soldiers. It's families trapped in the crossfire. It's homes turned into fortresses. It's centuries-old churches being blown apart. It's hell visited upon the innocent. Around 900 hours, we spot them. German infantry, advancing down the road in a column. They're not being subtle about it. They think they outnumber us. They think they can just walk back into town. They're about to learn otherwise. Captain Winters has been waiting for this. He's positioned our men perfectly. The Germans will have to funnel through a killing zone. We hold our fire. Let them get closer. Closer. Martinez has his machine gun trained on the road. I can see his finger on the trigger, see the tension in his shoulders. Steady, I whisper, though he can't hear me over the distance. The Germans are 200 yards away, then 150, then 100. The first shot rings out. Not from us. From somewhere else in town. Someone jumped the gun. Doesn't matter. The ambush is sprung. Every American weapon opens up at once. It's a cacophony, a symphony of violence. Machine guns. Rifles. Grenades. The German column disintegrates. They scatter, take cover, return fire. But they're caught in the open. They don't have good positions. They're being shredded. I'm firing, working my rifle bolt, aiming, shooting, cycling, aiming, shooting. I see Germans fall. I try not to think about the fact that they're men. Men with families. Men with hopes and dreams and mothers who love them. If I think about that, I'll hesitate. And if I hesitate, I'll die. So I shoot. The firefight lasts 20 minutes. Then the Germans break. They retreat back down the road, leaving their dead and wounded behind. We've won. Again. But the cost keeps mounting. I can see American bodies in the streets. I can hear the screams of the wounded. I can smell the smoke and blood and cordite. This is victory. This is what winning looks like. It's horrible. Around 1100 hours, there's a lull. The Germans are regrouping. So are we. I'm sitting in the rubble of what used to be someone's living room. There are family photographs on the mantel, somehow untouched by the fighting. A wedding photo, children, a young couple, smiling. I wonder where they are now. Wonder if they're safe. Wonder if they'll ever come back to this place. Tommy finds me there. He's got some rations, crackers and cheese from a K-ration pack. We eat in silence. "Jim," he says finally. "Back on the plane, when we were about to jump, I was so scared I couldn't move." "I know," I say. "We all were." "No, you don't understand. I mean, I literally couldn't move. My legs wouldn't work. If that guy hadn't pushed me, I would have frozen. I would have stayed on that plane." I look at him. Really look at him. He's aged 10 years in the past 12 hours. "But you didn't," I tell him. "You jumped, and you've been fighting like a demon ever since. That's what matters." "I've killed people today," he says quietly. "I've killed, I don't even know how many. 5, 6, and I don't feel anything about it. Is that normal? Am I broken?" I don't have an answer for that. I'm dealing with the same questions. "I think," I say slowly, "that maybe we're just doing what we have to do to survive. And maybe later, after this is all over, we'll have time to process it, to feel it. But right now, we just have to keep going." He nods. Not because he agrees, necessarily, but because what else is there to do? A French woman emerges from a basement. She's old, 60, maybe 70. She looks at us, 2 young American soldiers sitting in the ruins of her home, and she doesn't look angry. She looks grateful. She says something in rapid French. I don't understand the words, but I understand the meaning. She's thanking us for liberating her town, for fighting the Germans, for being here. She gives us bread. Real, fresh bread from before the battle started. It's the best thing I've ever tasted. We try to thank her, but she waves us off. Pats our cheeks like we're children, like we're her sons. Then she disappears back into the basement. I'm crying. I don't even realize it until Tommy points it out. "You okay?" he asks. "Yeah," I say, wiping my eyes. "Yeah, I'm okay." I'm not okay. None of us are okay. But we pretend, because that's what soldiers do. The Germans come again around 1400 hours. This time, they're smarter. They've brought armor, tanks. We hear them before we see them. That distinctive sound of tank treads on a pavement. It's a sound that triggers instant fear in infantry. Because what can a rifle do against steel and armor? Not much, but we have a bazooka team. 2 guys, I don't even know their names, who are setting up in a house across the street. The first tank rolls into view. It's a Panzer IV. Not the biggest tank in the German arsenal, but plenty big enough to kill us all. The bazooka team fires. Whoosh bang! The rocket streaks across the street and slams into the tank's side armor. There's an explosion. Smoke. But the tank is still moving. Still operational. They didn't penetrate. The tank's turret swivels, searching for the source of the attack. Get out! I'm screaming at the bazooka team. Get out of that house! They're scrambling. Running. The tank fires. The entire building explodes. Not just damaged. Not just hit. It explodes. The whole structure collapses in on itself in a roar of stone and timber and dust. The bazooka team, they didn't make it. Now we have a tank in our street and no way to kill it. Fall back, Captain Winters is shouting. Fall back to secondary positions. We retreat through the buildings, moving from house to house. The tank is firing continuously now. Every shot brings down a wall, demolishes a structure, turns someone's home into rubble. We make it to the church, the central church in the town square. It's old, medieval maybe, thick stone walls. We're trapped. The tank is coming up the street. German infantry is following behind it. This could be the end. This could be where we make our last stand. But then I hear the most beautiful sound in the world. The whine of aircraft engines, P-47 Thunderbolts, American fighter bombers. They come in low, so low I can see the pilots, see their faces, and they light up that German tank with rockets and cannon fire. The tank explodes, actually explodes. The turret lifts off and flips through the air like a toy. The German infantry scatters. The Thunderbolts make another pass, strafing the retreating Germans, and just like that, we're saved. The Air Force. God bless the Air Force. By 1600 hours, elements from the beaches have reached us. The 4th Infantry Division, who landed at Utah Beach that morning, has pushed inland and linked up with the paratroopers. This is huge. This means the beachhead is secure. This means the invasion is working. The soldiers coming from the beach look shell-shocked. Their eyes have that 1,000-yard stare we've been developing all day. Utah Beach was the easy beach, the one with the lowest casualties. And these guys still look like they've been through hell. I can't imagine what the guys at Omaha Beach must have seen. Later, we'll hear the stories. The slaughter on Omaha. The thousands of men cut down in the surf. The companies that ceased to exist in the first 5 minutes. But that's later. Right now, we're just grateful to see friendly faces, to know we're not alone anymore. A lieutenant from the 4th Division finds Captain Winters. They confer briefly. Then Winters gathers us. Men, he says, we're moving out. Our objective is to continue pushing inland. We need to expand the beachhead, make room for the follow-on forces. No rest for the weary. We form up. Those of us who are still alive. Those of us who can still walk and fight. I take a moment to look around, to count faces. Of the 18 men who jumped from my plane, 8 are dead. 4 are wounded. 6 of us are still in the fight. 33% casualties in less than 12 hours, and the day isn't over yet. We march inland, through more bocage, past more fields, past more evidence of the day's fighting. Dead Germans, dead Americans, destroyed vehicles, abandoned equipment, the debris of war. My feet hurt. My boots are still waterlogged from the jump. I have blisters on top of blisters. Every step is agony. I'm so tired I can barely keep my eyes open. I've been running on adrenaline for over 12 hours. Now that the adrenaline is fading, exhaustion is setting in. But we keep moving, because we have to, because men are depending on us, because this is what we signed up for, even if we didn't really understand what that meant when we signed our names on the dotted line. Tommy is limping. He took some shrapnel in his leg during one of the firefights. It's not bad enough to evacuate him, but it's enough to slow him down. I offer to carry some of his gear. He refuses. I can carry my own weight, he says stubbornly. Pride. It's a powerful thing. Around 1800 hours, we encounter German resistance again. A rearguard action. They're not trying to hold ground. They're just trying to slow us down, buy time for their main forces to establish new defensive positions. The firefight is brief but intense. More men fall. More bodies added to the day's toll. We push through. We always push through. That's what we do. That's what we are. We're the tip of the spear. The first ones in. The guys who do the impossible because nobody else can. As darkness falls on June 6th, 1944, we dig in. We're in a field somewhere in Normandy. I couldn't tell you exactly where. The maps and the plans all went out the window when we scattered on the drop. But we're here. We're alive. We dig foxholes. 2-man positions. Tommy and I pair up. We dig until our hands bleed. Until we hit rock. Until we have a hole deep enough to protect us from artillery and machine gun fire. Then we sit in our hole and we wait for whatever comes next. The night is full of sounds. Distant gunfire, artillery, the scream of shells overhead, sometimes close enough to shake the ground, sometimes far enough that we can pretend they're someone else's problem. We take turns on watch. Tommy sleeps first. I'm too wired to sleep anyway. I sit there in the darkness, my rifle across my lap, and I think about the last 24 hours. 24 hours ago, I was on a plane. Scared but alive. Whole. Now I'm different. Changed. The man who got on that plane in England is gone. Dead as surely as the men who actually died today. In his place is someone harder. Someone who has killed. Someone who has seen things that can never be unseen. Is this what growing up is? Is this what becoming a man means? If so, I want to go back to being a boy, but I can't. None of us can. This is who we are now. This is what the war has made us. Around midnight, Tommy wakes up. We switch. I curl up in the bottom of the foxhole and close my eyes. I expect nightmares. Expect to see the faces of the men I killed today. Expect to relive every moment of horror. But I don't dream at all. I just fall into a darkness deeper and more complete than any I've ever known. And for a few hours, I'm gone. I wake to grey dawn and the sound of movement. The army is on the move again, always moving, always pushing forward. My body hurts in ways I didn't know were possible. Every muscle screams, every joint aches. I feel like I've been hit by a truck, but I'm alive, and that's more than many men can say today. We eat breakfast, more K rations, crackers, cheese, chocolate that tastes like wax. It's disgusting and delicious all at once. Captain Winters comes by our position. He looks as tired as we feel. "How you boys holding up?" he asks. "Still breathing, sir," I say. He nods. "That's all that matters. You did good work yesterday, real good work. You saved lives on those beaches. Remember that." It's a small thing, a few words of recognition, but it means everything. He moves on to the next foxhole, the next group of exhausted men who need to hear that they matter. By 0700 hours, we're moving again. The breakout from the beachhead has begun. We're pushing deeper into France, toward objectives with names I can't pronounce, toward battles that haven't happened yet. The war isn't over, it's barely begun. We'll be fighting for another 11 months, through France, through Belgium, through Germany itself. We'll see more horror, more death, more of our friends will fall. Tommy will make it. He'll survive the war, go home to his mother, eventually get married, have kids, live the life he was so afraid he'd never get to live. Sergeant Williams won't. He'll be killed in the Battle of the Bulge. 7 months from now, his 3 kids will grow up without their father. Martinez will lose both legs to a landmine. But he'll survive. He'll adapt. He'll live. Me? I'll make it through. I'll come home. I'll try to forget. I'll fail. But all of that is in the future. Right now, on the morning of June 7th, 1944, I'm just a young soldier marching through France with his friends. And that's enough. People always ask me what D-Day was really like, what it felt like to be there, to be part of history, and I never know how to answer. How do you explain the fear, the kind that makes your hands shake and your bowels turn to water, the kind that never really leaves you, even when the shooting stops? How do you explain the exhaustion? Not just physical, though God knows that was bad enough, but the mental exhaustion, the emotional exhaustion, the soul-deep weariness that comes from seeing too much death, too much destruction, too much evidence that human beings are capable of unlimited cruelty. How do you explain the camaraderie? The bonds forged in combat that are stronger than any friendship you'll ever have in civilian life. The way you die for the guy next to you without hesitation, even if you only met him 6 hours ago. How do you explain the guilt? Survivor's guilt, the constant question, why did I live when so many better men died? What makes me special? Why was I spared? I can't explain these things, not really. The words don't exist, but I can tell you this. D-Day wasn't glorious, it wasn't heroic, it wasn't exciting, it was necessary. The men who fought that day, who jumped out of planes in the darkness, who stormed beaches under withering fire, who died in the surf and the fields and the hedgerows. They didn't do it for glory. They did it because it had to be done, because tyranny had to be stopped, because freedom has to be defended, even at terrible cost. Were we heroes? I don't know. We were just kids, most of us. Kids who found themselves in an impossible situation and did the best we could. We were scared, we made mistakes, we cried, we bled, we died. But we also fought, we advanced, we won. And because we did, millions of people got to live free, got to raise families in peace, got to grow old without the shadow of fascism hanging over them. Was it worth it? Was the cost worth the result? I think about the men I lost that day. About Sergeant Williams and his 3 kids. About the guys whose names I never learned. About the thousands who died on the beaches. And I think it had to be done. Someone had to do it. I'm just glad we were the ones who did. 80 years have passed since D-Day. 80 years. Most of the men who were there are gone now. The few of us who remain, we're old. In our late 90s or beyond. Our bodies are failing, our memories are fading. But we remember D-Day. That we never forget. Every June 6th, I go to the memorial. I stand with the other veterans. There are fewer of us each year. And we remember. We remember the men who didn't come home. We remember their faces, their voices, their dreams. We remember what we fought for, what they died for, and we look at the world today, this imperfect, troubled, beautiful world, and we hope it was worth it. I think about Tommy sometimes. He died 5 years ago. Heart attack. Peaceful, they said, in his sleep. I spoke at his funeral, told stories about that scared 19-year-old kid who jumped into Normandy with me, who fought beside me, who became a man in the span of a single day. I told his grandchildren that their grandfather was a hero, that he helped save the world. They looked at me with wide eyes, trying to reconcile the frail old man they knew with the young warrior I was describing. That's the hardest part, I think. The disconnect between what we were and what we became. Between the young men who stormed the beaches and the old men who remember doing it. We're not heroes. We never were. We were just ordinary people in extraordinary circumstances. But maybe that's what makes it meaningful. Maybe the fact that ordinary people can do extraordinary things when necessary, that's the real lesson of D-Day. You don't have to be special to do something important. You don't have to be fearless to be brave. You just have to care enough to act, even when you're terrified, even when the odds are impossible, even when success seems like a distant dream. We did that on D-Day. Thousands of ordinary young men did impossible things because they had to be done. And because we did, the world changed. The tide of war turned. The path to victory opened. It cost us everything, but we paid the price willingly, because some things are worth dying for. Freedom is one of them. I'm 99 years old now. I've lived a long life, a good life mostly. I got married, had children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. I've seen the world change in ways I never could have imagined back in 1944. But I've never forgotten that day, that terrible, glorious, horrible, necessary day. I carry it with me, always. The weight of what we did, the weight of what it cost, the weight of all those lives cut short. Sometimes, late at night, I can still hear the sound of the C-47's engines, can still feel the prop blast as I jumped into the darkness, can still see the tracers cutting through the sky. Sometimes I wake up in that flooded field, drowning, struggling to breathe. Sometimes I see the faces of the men I killed, German boys, most of them, as scared as I was, as young as I was, dying far from home, just like so many Americans did that day. This is what war does. It marks you, changes you, hollows you out, and fills the space with memories you'd give anything to forget, but can't afford to lose. Because if we forget, if we let these stories die with us, then what was it all for? So I tell my story. I tell it to students who look at me with the same wide-eyed disbelief Tommy's grandchildren had. I tell it to historians who record my words and archive them for future generations. I tell it to you, right now, through this screen. I tell it because it needs to be told. Because the men who didn't make it home deserve to be remembered. Because the world needs to know what freedom costs. D-Day wasn't a movie. It wasn't a video game. It wasn't glorious or exciting or fun. It was hell, pure hell, the kind that burns away everything soft and weak and leaves only the essential core of who you really are. And on that day, June 6th, 1944, I learned who I really was. I was a survivor, a fighter, a man who could do terrible things in service of necessary goals. I was an American soldier, and I was exactly where I needed to be, doing exactly what needed to be done. Would I do it again? If I knew then what I know now, all the pain, all the loss, all the nightmares that would follow, would I still jump out of that plane? Yes, in a heartbeat, without hesitation, because it had to be done, because tyranny had to be stopped, because the world needed saving and somebody had to do the saving. We were the greatest generation, they say. I don't know about that. We were just kids who grew up too fast in a world that gave us no choice. But we did our duty. We fought for something bigger than ourselves, and we won. That's all that matters. That's what I want you to remember. Not that we were heroes, but that ordinary people, scared, tired, imperfect people, can do extraordinary things when history demands it. D-Day proved that. And if we ever needed proof that humanity is worth believing in, that's it right there. We can be better than we are. We can rise to the occasion. We can face impossible odds and win. We did it once. We can do it again, if we have to. I pray we never have to. But if that day comes, I hope the next generation has the same courage, the same determination, the same willingness to sacrifice that we had. Because that's what freedom requires. Not just words and symbols and flags. It requires blood, sweat, tears, lives. We paid that price on D-Day, thousands of us, and millions of people have lived free because we did. Remember that. Remember us. Remember what we did and why we did it. And if someone ever asks you what D-Day was really like, tell them, it was hell. But it was necessary hell. And brave men walked through it so that others wouldn't have to. That's my story. That's my legacy. That's what I want the world to know. I was there. I survived. I remember. And I'll keep remembering until the day I die. For all the men who can't remember anymore. For all the boys who never got the chance to grow old. We remember. We honor. We never forget. That's our duty as survivors. And it's a duty I'll carry until my very last breath. Thank you for listening. Thank you for caring. Thank you for keeping these stories alive. And if you take nothing else from this, take this. Freedom isn't free. It never has been. It never will be. But it's worth fighting for. Worth dying for, if necessary. We proved that on June 6th, 1944. And God willing, the world will never forget it. Before you go, I want to ask something of you. If this story moved you, if it made you think, if it helped you understand even a little bit what that day was like, share it. Tell someone about it. Keep these memories alive. Visit a World War II memorial if you can. Thank a veteran if you meet one. Read the histories. Watch the documentaries. Learn the names. Because every year, there are fewer of us left. The living witnesses to history are fading. Soon, there will be none. And when we're gone, the only way these stories will survive is if people like you, people who weren't there, who didn't experience it, carry them forward. Be the keepers of memory. Be the guardians of history. Make sure that what we did, what we sacrificed, what we believed in, make sure it isn't forgotten. Hit that like button if this story meant something to you. Subscribe to this channel to hear more stories from the men and women who shaped our world. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. And most importantly, remember, always remember, the men who stormed the beaches, the men who jumped from planes, the men who drove the tanks and flew the planes and sailed the ships, the men who died so that you could be free. Remember them, honor them, live the lives they never got to live. That's all we ever wanted. That's all any of us want. To be remembered, to know that it meant something, to know that it mattered. You can give us that. You can keep us alive, even after we're gone. Will you do that? Will you remember? I'm counting on you. We're all counting on you. Don't let us down. Thank you for watching. Thank you for caring. Thank you for being here. Now go, live your lives. Be free. Be happy. That's what we fought for. That's what it was all about.